Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a deep dive, a structured walkthrough of the entire life of a company's biggest investments, its fixed assets. From the second a new factory is just an idea, all the way to the day an old delivery truck is sold for scrap, we're going to cover the whole journey. So, how do businesses keep track of these massive long-term investments? Let's find out. First things first, why should you care so much about fixed assets? Well, take a look at this number. In really capital-heavy industries, think manufacturing, energy, that kind of thing, fixed assets can make up a staggering 40% of a company's total investment. That is a huge piece of the pie, so you better believe managing it well is absolutely critical. So what exactly is a fixed asset? You'll hear accountants call it PPE, that's property, plant, and equipment. Basically, it's the bedrock of a business. We're talking about the buildings, the heavy machinery, the whole fleet of vehicles, anything tangible that a company uses to make money over many, many years. It's not something they're planning on flipping for a quick profit. Okay, here's a really crucial distinction for anyone in the accounting world. How do you handle the costs? Is it a capital expenditure, CapEx for short, like buying a brand new truck? That's a big purchase, and it gets recorded on the balance sheet as an asset. Or is it an operating expense, or OpEx, like the gas you put in that truck? That's just a day-to-day cost that gets expensed right away. Every company has a capitalization policy, often just a simple dollar amount, that draws that line in the sand. All right, here's the game plan for today. We're going to follow an asset through 5 distinct phases. We'll start with planning and buying it. Then we'll move into its working life, and then we'll cover its retirement. After that, we'll peel back the curtain on the systems that control this whole process, and we'll wrap up with a little peek into the future. All right, let's kick things off with phase 1, planning and acquiring assets. This is where we go from a simple idea to a concrete reality. And remember, the life cycle starts way before anyone clicks buy now. It all begins with some serious strategic planning. Now, even though we're breaking this down into 5 parts for our talk today, you can really think of the entire journey in these 3 core stages you see here. First, planning and acquisition, then operation and maintenance, and finally, disposal and retirement. Everything we discuss is going to fit right into this framework. So in this first planning phase, managers are really laying the groundwork. This isn't just about picking out some shiny new toy. It's about making sure it aligns with the company's long-term goals. They run a full cost-benefit analysis, and, this is so important, they calculate the total cost of ownership. You have to look way beyond the sticker price to figure out the entire financial impact, using tools like net present value to see if the investment truly makes sense for the long haul. Once a plan gets the green light, we move into the acquisition phase. This is where it all becomes official. The total cost to get that asset up and running, the price tag, shipping, installation, testing, all of it gets capitalized. And this is the moment, the critical moment, that the asset's life story gets its first entry in the company's accounting information system, the AIS. Think of it like its official birth certificate. Let's shift gears to phase 2, operating and maintaining assets. This is the asset's working life. It's the longest, most active part of the journey, where it's actually out in the world generating value for the business. So, during this whole time, the AIS is humming in the background, keeping tabs on the asset's location, its condition, how it's performing. But from an accountant's point of view, this is also where we systematically spread out its cost over its useful life. That process is called depreciation. And what's really cool here is that you see accounting's matching principle in action. You're matching the expense of using the asset to the revenue it helps bring in. And, this isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. A company has to pick the depreciation method that best mirrors how that asset's value is actually being used up. As you can see here, there are options. Straight line is simple and steady, great for something like a building. Declining balance is front-loaded, which makes a ton of sense for tech that gets outdated fast. And units of production ties the expense directly to how much a machine is running. The choice you make here has a very real impact on the financial statements. Now, the other side of this coin is maintenance. And this chart just says it all. Why is being proactive so important? Well, just look. Scheduled preventative maintenance is anywhere from 3 to 9 times cheaper than corrective maintenance, waiting for something to break down. That's a massive cost saving, and it's a huge part of getting the most value out of your assets. Okay, let's move on to phase 3, retiring and disposing assets. This is the final chapter in the story, because no matter how well you take care of something, every asset eventually reaches the end of its useful life. This last phase is all about making sure they're retired properly, both physically and on the books. And disposal isn't as simple as just throwing something out. For an accountant, it's a very precise operation. You have to update the depreciation right up to the final day, you have to scrub the asset from all the accounting ledgers, and then you have to record any financial gain or loss from that final sale or donation. It's all about closing the book on that asset's life cleanly and accurately. And it is so important to remember that this final step is loaded with modern risks. We're talking about huge data breaches from computers that weren't wiped properly, or massive fines for not following environmental rules when getting rid of industrial gear. This is why having a documented, secure, and responsible disposal process is absolutely non-negotiable today. So now that we've followed an asset from cradle to grave, let's pull back the curtain and look at the system that's running the whole show from behind the scenes. Let's talk about the Accounting Information System, or AIS. The AIS crunches all the fixed asset data through a really logical four-step cycle. It all starts with data input, usually kicked off by a purchase request. Then comes data storage, where all the info gets neatly organized into ledgers. Next up is data processing, where records are constantly updated for things like depreciation. And finally, you get the information output, all the reports and financial statements we need. This cycle gives you a complete, traceable audit trail from beginning to end. This quote right here is the absolute cornerstone of accuracy. Think of it this way. The general ledger might say the company has $1 million in vehicles. The subsidiary ledger is the detailed list of every single car and its individual value. The two have to match perfectly. If they don't, that is a huge red flag for any auditor that something is wrong. So to protect these massive investments from fraud or just simple mistakes, a good system needs layers of control. You've got human oversight, like making sure big purchases are formally approved and separating duties so one person doesn't have all the power. You've got physical checks, like literally going out and counting the assets. And more, you've got automated controls built right into the software, things that enforce workflows and validate data automatically. Okay, let's move into our final section and look ahead. What is technology doing to this field right now? We're taking a peek at the 2026 horizon for asset management. The future is all about moving away from just recording what happened in the past and towards proactively managing what's coming next. You can see the shift right here on this timeline. Big standards like ISO 55001 are already changing the game. Predictive maintenance with smart sensors is becoming the norm. And looking ahead, we're talking about agentic AI that can actually do things on its own, like manage maintenance, and even digital product passports on the blockchain for a totally unchangeable life history of an asset. It's a massive leap. So what's the big takeaway? The modern fixed asset AIS is changing. It's going from being a static history book to being a dynamic engine that creates strategic value and even helps with environmental responsibility. The ultimate goal here is to turn the AIS into a smart, proactive tool that helps a company get the absolute most out of its most important resources. And all of this progress leaves us with one final and pretty profound question for the future of management and auditing. As our assets get smarter, and as AI starts making its own decisions about how to run them, who's ultimately on the hook for the outcome? Is it the manager overseeing the system, or the AI that made the call? That's something we're all going to have to figure out as we head into this increasingly automated world.